I'm live. And I can't believe it. It is our last gem journey. It is our last. But I'm really excited to take this journey with you. And actually, will you do me a favor and grab my drum? I was going to play my new drum, but I'm going to save that. I have a new drum, but it's from Tucson that I haven't played yet. But tonight, the pink one in front is good.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, because there's actually a lot of heart opening work tonight. So perfect. I hope you're ready for that. How are you guys? It's really good to see you. Congratulations. You are graduating tonight from Gem Journey. I have never in my entire teaching life taught a more expansive class. This one, we were talking about this as a team, and I will just tell you, I wrote the crystal history book called Crystal Lore, Legends, and Myths. We don't talk about it very much because now it's like an older book, but I stand by it because crystal history doesn't change. So if you ever want a literary accompaniment to this experience, Crystal Lore would be it. When I was writing Crystal Lore, gosh, how many years ago was that now? I think I was writing it like 8 years ago. I think it came out like 6 or 7 years ago.
And it's Crystal Lore before that.
I think so. Like and remember,
it was
whatever
before I started. So
was it really?
Yeah.
So when you look at a publication date of a book, the author was writing it 2 years before that. Because it takes 2 years to get a book in your hands from the time you get a concept approved. So yeah, 10 years ago. What I've told people my whole life since that point is that was harder than a doctoral dissertation. That book, because I had to read things and translate things, and I was going back to someone called Pliny the Elder, which if you know your gem history, then you know that there's a lot about Pliny the Elder. Pliny was kind of the first crystal historian, but like trying to translate his documents, and you have your copy with you. So I stand by it. Mine's under my table right here. I still think it's the best crystal history book out there. But this, as a visual experiential journey, was what I wanted to produce back then. And so thank you for the honor of leading you through this experience. I hope you've enjoyed every minute of it. We couple of exciting things, but first a favor to ask. So you probably have seen in your Facebook group, and if you haven't seen the Facebook post that the lovely Circe, who, by the way, I think has done a great job of moderating this complex experience this year. So big hats off to Circe and gratitude to her. Also big gratitude to Robin and Hanalei, who helped with the stone selection and the perfume creation this year. So I just want to give lots of credit where credit is due. A big thanks to Rachel, who's helped make sure that operationally everything has gone smoothly for us in this experience. So it was a team effort. It was not just me. Big gratitude for you. So Rachel and Circe have posted a message from me and are also emailing a message from me asking for reviews. If you really liked this experience and you learned a lot from it, one of the things when people, I'm continuing to teach, I'm actually in the process of creating a new crystal healing program that's not going to be called a healing program. I'm in my post healer era, but I'm formulating something new that you'll hear about. But when people come to learn with me, if they're new to me and haven't worked with me before, they really do appreciate and trust reviews from students who've been through programs before. And I've never actually made a concerted effort to gather reviews, but I'm doing that now because I live in this world and it's really important. So there's 2 places we would like reviews, is Google and Trustpilot. Circe has the links for you. And again, if you're not in the Facebook group, if you can check your email and just, all I want is just your honest, candid reviews of class and my teaching and anything else that you feel called to share. But I really appreciate it. So that's my big request. And then we're celebrating because you are graduating. And there might be some stones that over this course of this year, you've wanted to add to your collection, but you haven't for whatever reason. There's a student code for 25% off, but we did a special graduation code for you guys, GRAD, GRAD 33 for 33% off. It lasts for 48 hours. Don't go shopping now. Stay here and take class. Also, please don't share that code outside of our Gem Journey community. It's just a little graduation gift for you guys, and it will expire on Thursday at midnight. Yay. Okay, so the links are in the featured post in your Facebook group and in your email. Okay, and I really appreciate it. If you don't leave a review, that's okay. This is just an ask because I've realized I've never really asked for reviews. and they are really helpful. If you're going to go take a class with someone, it's kind of nice. I mean, I look and I say, how long has a person been teaching? What kind of credentials do they have? But other people's recommendations are always helpful. Irene said, I have made her love her rocks even more. I love your rocks. Don't be fooled by the rocks that I got. If you're like, what are you talking about? You're still really young. It's an old J-Lo song. I'm very grateful for you guys. Okay. I have kind of fallen in love with my crystals again this year. And one of the things I'm excited about the stones for tonight, my little pink Naturelite. I have to show this to you. Have you seen that? It's like
pretty.
It's like a little heart. It's like a little heart. It's a little boop-a-doop. And then you got big ass Indonesian amber that fluoresces blue under black light, because that's what it is. It's actually not blue. The blue is kind of like the rainbow in labradorite. It's a bit of an optical illusion. It's about how the light passes through the stone and reacts with your vision. Isn't that cool? So, and what I find about Indonesian blue amber, if you have your piece and you have a black light, it actually looks like all the little islands that make up Indonesia. There's almost like little land masses and land formations. That's not what it is, but it looks like a little map of the part of the world that we're talking about. So when you see Indonesian blue amber, it looks kind of brown like regular amber. Will you do me a favor, Rachel? One of the things I forgot to grab was my, I need a piece of non-blue amber for my crystal healing tray. Like in the brown section, there's, it's under there. There should be, if you have your blue amber and you have a piece of non-Indonesian amber, like a brown, right at the bottom, there should be a big hunk of amber. No, the other end. Like the brown. So this end.
Oh, is it? Not the black? Okay.
See that big piece right there? Like down, to the right.
To the right.
To the right. To the
This
right.
one?
Yep.
Oh, right here.
Down further. Yep. Nope, further to the right. To your right. Down. Yep. More to the right. Big piece of amber.
Am I missing it?
Right in front of you.
Oh,
yep.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
guys.
It's okay. You know what? We look at rocks all day long, and I'm like, down,
That's
to the right. Warmer, colder.
Piece. Yeah.
Okay. This is not Indonesian amber. Okay. I don't care what color it is, and I don't care what it looks like. If you want to do my little playtime trick during class with me today, you will need Indonesian blue and non-Indonesian blue for me to prove a point to you. Because most crystal healers, myself included, believe that the energy of blue amber is more powerful than any other amber on the planet. And amber is really powerful. Amber it's not the oldest mineral or material. It's not a mineral, by the way. Yeah, I've told you this before. It doesn't have a crystal structure because it's resin from tropical trees. But it, according to most of us, is more powerful than any other fossilized ancient tree resin on the planet. And I'm going to make an argument to you why I think that is based on the geology, and then you can do your own experiments. But it will be fun if you want to join me and not just like trust me, to use your pendulum when we get to talking about blue amber, because I think you're going to see the difference in how your pendulum runs over it because of the energy. I'm glad you've enjoyed this class. Where I'm going with my crystal teaching, by the way, which I will have more to tell you about that next week, is I think you're going to really enjoy. I will give you one tiny hint. Rachel's probably going to look at me and go, what the fuck are you going to tell them? For the first time ever, what I'm contemplating is a level of the crystal program that will certify you as a teacher through Sage Goddess. And I've never done that. I have done teacher training almost my whole life. That's basically what my doctorate is curriculum planning and development. But I have never officially trained and certified teachers, so that if you went and taught a class, you would be certified as a teacher facilitator through SG. It's kind of a legacy project for me because, I always say I'm not the future of crystal healing. I'm the present of crystal healing. There has to be a next gen focus. So anyway, stay tuned for information about that. I'm excited about it. And I think for the first time ever, that level of program will require an application. And one of the prerequisites is having completed a course of study with me in crystals. And this class qualifies as a prerequisite. So anyway, stay tuned. More details are coming. I know there's a lot to be excited about. Okay, I'm out of my seat because I've got two amazing stones to talk about. I've got my favorite essential oil on the planet, and then I would say two of my runners up to top 10. If you've been with me for a minute, you know how I feel about patchouli. You know how I feel about oud. You may not know how I feel about ylang ylang. But ylang ylang has a really amazing story for me personally because it was my mom's favorite essential oil. My mom was an esthetician when she was alive. When I was in my 20s, she had her own salon, and it was really cool. She had her own facial room, and she did facials on her clients, and she had a steam machine. I actually went through her aromatherapy training with her as a facialist, which is how I learned about essential oils. Truly. So I think I was 18 or 19, 17 maybe. Yeah, I think I was still in high school. She had to go for her professional development credits. I can't remember what they're called when you're a cosmetologist, but you have to, go through you can get your additional credits. And so she was doing that at the Dermalogica Institute, which I think was in Carson at the time. Might still be in Carson. And she had the option of doing aromatherapeutic training. It was actually really sweet. And so she was like, hey, do you want to go with me? They let her bring me, which they probably wouldn't do that now. But anyway, I got to go tag along with her. It was ridiculously expensive. It was like $1,800 for a couple of days at the time. And the only reason I remember that is I remember thinking like, this is more expensive, because I was about to go to community college. I was about to go to El Camino, and I'm like, holy shit, that's more expensive than like a year of my tuition. But anyway, she didn't love it. She was interested in it, and she was like, I learned a lot, but I caught the bug. And so after we came out of that training, I started collecting essential oils, and I'm like, this is funny. You took the class, but I'm way more passionate about this than you are. And that's where my perfuming career started. So, yeah. So the first blend I ever made, which is Dea, came out of my mom's training. The woman who was teaching the training had rare exotic essential oils from Indonesia. Like, no joke. This is why my life, sometimes when I sit back and reflect, I'm like, literally from the time I was in high school, everything pointed to me doing what I do now. So the woman who was teaching the class, I only remember she had a British accent, but I don't know why that's not even relevant, but I remember her. She was totally beautiful. She had this thick British accent. And she said, there's so many essential oils from around the world, but I brought you guys a treat today. I brought you some really rare and exotic oils from Indonesia, which is where a lot of the really thick resinous oils like oud come from, and patchouli, but also the really thick lush florals like tuberose comes from Indonesia mostly, and kind of Indonesia broadly writ, because tuberose now is also harvested in the Hawaiian island chain. And so I started experimenting with gardenia, which she brought us, tuberose. She brought patchouli. She brought, what else did she bring? I don't remember her bringing oud. I found out about oud. I got introduced to oud by a friend of mine who's from the Middle East, because in Dubai and the Middle East, oud is in everybody's house. It's super common. It's not like it is here where we think of it as super rare. So yeah, so I blended in that. When I took that class in that program, I blended, I think it was ylang ylang Dea, or ylang ylang tuberose and patchouli or something like that. And then I later refined it because I was like, I didn't love the ylang ylang in it. So Dea to this day is tuberose, gardenia, and patchouli. And I took that home. I started wearing it. And everybody was like, oh my God, I've never smelled anything like that. And then it became kind of my signature. It dries down to patchouli. Here's what's interesting about this blend. So if you have tonight's essential oil blend, will you take a moment and just anoint with it? This, I'm going to be honest with you, is my favorite of the 12. And I know that's a really big deal to say that. But it's got two ingredients in it that I love, and my mom's favorite essential oil. So it's kind of like, in a way, this is almost my female lineage in a bottle. It's so good, isn't it? So a little bit on your arms, and then take a little bit to your third eye. Oud is really good for opening the psychic pathways, and then a little bit at your ankles. This one is not cut, and it is strong. And so what I will tell you is, if you super duper love this, just put this in a different bottle with a little bit of fractionated coconut oil or some sweet almond oil. I wouldn't blend it. You could use like olive oil. I will tell you something. If you have nothing else, mix it with avocado oil. Avocado oil is odorless. Like when I'm trying to cook with a neutral vegetable oil, but I don't want to use vegetable oil, I like to use avocado oil. So if you have a little bit of avocado oil and then you have another bottle you can transfer this to, you could double it and it'll just dilute it a little bit. But these oils are so strong. And then the other thing, so it's interesting. Jen's asking what smells minty. Do you know what's fascinating about that, Jen? Do you know? So the answer to your question is the way the ylang ylang interacts with the oud gives it a little bit of like a, you're saying minty. I just think there's a sharpness to it, which is one of the reasons why ylang ylang is top 20 for me, but not top 5. Okay. I love oud and I love patchouli top 5. Ylang ylang would probably be like 15th or 20th for me in terms of my favorite oils of all time, because there's a lot. But ylang ylang can go a little sharp. Okay. But Jen, stay with me for a second. Did you know that patchouli is related to mint? Yeah, it's the mint family, like the big broad mint family. Patchouli is part of that family. So it is possible. The reason I'm telling you all of this is, as a botanist and perfumer, it is possible that you are smelling mint. I know. It's really true. So, but what your nose is probably picking up. And do you experience the dry down now? Like, try it again, by the way. Try smelling it again. As it dries down, because ylang ylang is a heart note, it's not a base note. Oud is a base note, and patchouli is like the world's most intense base note. Nothing is more grounding or stabilizing than patchouli. The reason I'm so excited about tonight's class and the oils and the stones and everything is this. Tonight's class and the region that we're talking about, Indonesia. Et voila, Indonesia. So here's Australia, right? Just to sort of position you, right? So we've got most of the Asian Peninsula up here. And then we have Australia here. What you have to know was, as we've studied the formation of this planet over the billions of years that this planet's been forming, this did not used to be an island chain. This was all one, this up here, including up here, all the way around, as you know, from the formation of Pangaea and the other, and in Gondwana, this was all connected. And then this is all tectonic activity, and the tectonic splits, as they call them, that forged first of all, the increasing of the water line, forged the breaking up of the islands into the chain. This is also volcanic activity. Indonesia, are you ready for fast fun fact? 75% of this planet's volcanoes are right here. 75% of this planet's volcanoes are in Indonesia. So it's called a subduction zone. And as soon as I wrote that in the notes, I was like, my friends are so naughty. They're going to say, did you say subduction zone? And to which I'm going to say back to you in geological terms, no, I did not. I said subduction zone. But it is a hot and steamy place. And in fact, I need to get color toner. I will get you color toner. I'm cheap, and I am. And then I'm like, well, this is good enough, but it's so pretty. Like, I can show you on my, I can show you the actual picture of it. And I actually do want to show you the picture because, and then I have a little video too, if there's time. There's so much I want to talk about, so we'll see. This is the actual image that I want to show you. Okay, so this is what Indonesia used to look like. It still has a super tropical, humid climate, but it's not as densely forested. And then do you see the volcano back here? So you had radical, first of all, radical temperature variations. You had micro and macro climates. This would have been about 75 million years ago. Okay. And then this was all really lush rainforest. And so what would happen, and you guys have some of this, like petrified palm root and petrified palm wood. Robin and I have brought you all kinds of that. One of these big trees in this dense, it's a tropical forest. Is our planet not magnificent? I mean, you can call it a rainforest, but it would have looked like the Sequoia National Forest, but in a tropical zone with volcanoes in the background. And can't you totally see dinosaurs? I mean, it's an amazing thing. So Indonesia does not get the radical appreciation and attention it deserves, but I did want to show you that. So this is where patchouli comes from. This is where ylang ylang comes from, and this is where oud comes from. So some of these ancient trees were agar wood trees, and what would happen is they would get an infection, they would fall, part of it would petrify, and then the other part of it would secrete a resin to try to prevent its own death, and that's what oud is. So I will dive more deeply into all of this, but tonight is a pretty magical class because it's about a pretty magical place. How many of you have been to Indonesia, which would include New Guinea? Broadly speaking, it includes Malaysia, Singapore. How many of you have been to some part of the region north of Australia, but into the more popular regions? Obviously, Bali is in Indonesia. Anybody been to Bali before? You guys are so funny. We're still at seduction. It is a sexy class. I'm glad you're here for it because I'm really excited to teach it to you. So if you've ever been to Indonesia, it's a very spiritual place. It's got a very high vibration to it, and it's not like anywhere else in the world. And what's funny is Bali's on my bucket list. I have not been, but I have good friends who live there full time. So I've always thought I should go. I think part of me is worried I'll go there and never come back. So it's probably better for me to go once my kids are grown and I actually could go there and have a eat, pray, love experience and then just go, you know what? I don't think I'm going to come back. I live in Bali or whatever, right? Kids want to see me, they can come to Bali. I don't think anybody would complain. I think you guys would come to Bali. But yeah, it's probably better for Athena to wait until I'm not so tethered. So I'm going into my notes now because I don't want to miss a detail, but then I'll lift up and we'll talk about the specific stones in a minute. So Indonesia is a living cauldron of creation. It is a womb. And one of the reasons it's a womb is because of its subductive nature. So what happens when you have time, heat, and pressure? And you can say, well, Athena, I mean, come on, Africa has time, heat, pressure. India has time, heat, pressure. Like a lot of the regions that we've focused on and learned about, lots of parts of North America for sure have time, heat, pressure. It's not the same. Because the time, heat, and pressure that comes from volcanoes, the only other region of our planet that is as volcanic and as active as Indonesia is where? Gem Journey trivia for you. Second most historically active volcanic region. I'll give you another hint. That has produced more gems, minerals, crystals than almost any other region for its size on the planet. And it's a place we've already studied in Gem Journey. It would be Madagascar. Obviously, the Hawaiian Islands and the Himalayan ridge, I mean, volcanic for sure, right? Anywhere we have a major basalt plateau is going to be highly volcanic. So those are absolutely good guesses. Madagascar, and you probably heard me when I was on Shop LC a couple of weeks ago talking about this. Madagascar is wholly formed by volcanic activity. And so when you have that level of heat combined with almost constant lava flow, almost constant, where it doesn't stop. There are still some young Indonesian islands. Did you know that? Just like parts of Hawaii are still forming, right? But Indonesia still has enough active volcanic spaces where there are still islands that are forming in the water, which is amazing. And what I like about that is, as a person interested in geology, that means we're going to have new stones. You know, every year, depending on who you talk to, but most of the geologists in my world say there's 2 to 4 new gems and minerals identified every year. And that's mostly because of volcanic activity. So there's birthing energy here. And the primary elements that we think about with Indonesia are fire and water. Fire and water, which are not across each other on the medicine wheel. They are adjacent elements. So fire doesn't use water to clear. Water doesn't use fire to clear. What the adjacent elements do is they activate each other. So fire activates water and water activates fire. It's one of the reasons why even in astrology, like they say that if you have a partnership where you are of adjacent signs, so I'm all fire, that would mean somebody who's heavily water or heavily air are more magnetic. And then the relationships, like Earth, for me, Earth would be more grounding and more clearing as opposed to activating. Does that make sense? Oh my God. By the way, happy belated birthday to you, Lana. And I can't even imagine what that was like to see an eruption. What was the energy of that experience like, if you could name it? I have not been really near or next to an active I've been near, not adjacent. But I will say this, somewhere, someone in our own genetic lineage, in our own personal histories, has been. There's some part of you that really recognizes the power of volcanic activity because your soul recognizes it. That is so cool that you got to see that. And it is, as Karina said, because she's still on the edge of a volcano, she said she still has her melted sneakers. The image in my mind of that is really cute. Look at that. That is so awesome that you guys are sharing this. And Lana said, it was great. It was raining. I need fire. I couldn't leave. Isn't that amazing? So it's a potentiator. And the two elements, when they're adjacent to each other, I think it's part of why when we think about the Hawaiian Islands, for example, and the energy, it activates something in us. Don't you think? In a way that almost nothing else does. And then from that, we also there's lots of gifts of that, like lavic glass, right? Which is what obsidian is, but there's lots of different forms of lavic glass. And that's also what we call the tektites and the pseudo-tektites. So fire, water, time, pressure, that's the magic. And what I was trying to show you in this picture, by the way, have you heard me talk about Tucson and how Tucson is a caldera? Is that a word that you've heard me talk about before? I tried to talk about it when I was live at this last show. So Tucson, when you're flying over it or when you're driving through it, Tucson looks like a really low, shallow bowl. And you can see there's larger mountains off in the distance, but you can see these like sort of low mountain ridges, and they form a perimeter around Tucson. So when you're in the middle of Tucson, you kind of feel like you're being held. That's called a caldera. And so what a caldera is some kind of massive impact, usually a massive volcanic explosion. And that's what happened in Tucson. The explosion of that volcano in Tucson was so massive millions of years ago that it blew out the top layer of the earth and blew it out into a bowl. And what that did is it totally transformed the climate. So Tucson, there are woolly mammoth skeletons in the mountains of Tucson. It has, during the Ice Age, it was completely frozen, and then it transformed into a completely subtropical rainforest. And now it is, of all the places I go every year, it's the most arid, dry. I love it because I like dry heat, but because I live in a relatively humid place. I live on the coast of Los Angeles, and we have a decent amount of humidity. It's always, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's when I lived in Northern California, it was really dry. And I was like, whoa, this is still California because LA is humid. San Diego's even more humid. But Tucson used to be humid. Now when I go there, I enjoy the dry. But just to give you kind of a concept of what a caldera is. And so this Indonesia, in essence, is one massive caldera. So let me go back here for a second. That's what happened here. This was one solid landmass. There were massive volcanic explosions, blew out the what was connecting all of the islands together. And basically what you see here are the strongest parts of that subcontinent that were able to sustain that impact and not be submerged and destroyed by it. And that's why so much of the Indonesian chain is made up of quartz and other relatively hard minerals. And then you get beautiful things like fossilized resin from ancient tropical trees. So when you think of that, when you think of your blue amber, I want you to think about this because it came from one of these big, beautiful trees. Isn't that incredible? And the water in Indonesia is this kind of, it's not the color of the amber without the fluorescent light, but it is the color. Hold on, my big rug here tends to swallow everything I have. Where the fuck should I go? Anyway, I'll find it. I need to find it because I want to show it to you. Another one. Hold on, bear with me. There we go. Yeah. The water is like this. And it's not like Caribbean water. It's more of a vibrant blue, sort of like what I was trying to show you in the picture. Do you see? I know it's not a photograph, but the water itself is more intensely blue, even though in so many places it's completely translucent. I love amber too. I will tell you, amber is even more than lepidolite, is what I recommend to people who have severe anxiety, especially anxiety that comes from trauma, activated trauma, which is what a lot of anxiety is. Amber will regulate your nervous system because it has the wisdom of millions of years of your own ancestry embedded in it. And because amber is literally crystallized life, right? As the resin comes out of the trees, and usually again it's from an injury, right? Something compresses the tree or cracks the surface of the tree. As the resin pours out, it captures whatever is in its path as it flows, and then it crystallizes it permanently. So these pieces you're not going to find. It's not sort of like the Baltic Russian amber where you'll find little flies and mosquitoes and other forms of organic life. You don't see as much of that. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a piece of Indonesian blue where I've seen life forms in it. But yeah, if you don't have lepidolite, which is great because it's lithium, so it really does balance brain waves. Lepidolite's powerful. I think of lepidolite as a technology. But if you don't have lepidolite in a pinch, amber is probably the second most powerful ally you can work with for easing and minimizing anxious reactions, especially to activated trauma. Okay, so what happened to form Indonesia is that there were 3 tectonic plates. Now, again, you know me, I read too much into everything. You don't have to read as much into things as I do, covering English major. But there were 3 tectonic plates, and they actually formed a triangle. In my experience, when land formations form triangles, that's kind of special. So it was the Indo-Australian plate, the Eurasian plate, and the Pacific plate. So what creates a subduction zone is this. I'm showing you what the plates look like, but I'm going to use my hands to show you what happens. So these plates will be adjacent or near adjacent, and then there'll be some sort of agitation. So usually it's a volcanic eruption. In the case of Indonesia, that's what it is. And so the plates, what they do is they slide over each other. And then the bottom plate gets forced. How am I trying to do this for you? Gets forced down. And so, and as it gets forced down and toward the bottom of the ocean, it forms something called a trench. Have you guys heard of trenches before? Trenches are the deepest points of our oceans. And this trench, trying to point out other, let's see if I can get this on my computer instead of showing you the printed image. Okay, so see that pretty well. Okay, so maximize it. Hold on, sorry, I don't want to make you dizzy, but I want to make sure you can see as clearly as possible. So this right here is either the second or the third deepest trench. See Java Trench. And here you go. You can see where Australia is, modern day Singapore, right? This right here, you wouldn't think so, right? Because you look across the latitude lines, right? But then here is Madagascar. So here's my hypothesis, okay? This is the Madagascar plateau, right? You can see how Madagascar, right, broke off from Africa. And then you can see relatively similar latitude lines take us right across the Indonesian basin. And so you can say, well, wow, how are there so many volcanoes here and not here? That's not true. This entire region, this entire latitude line was formed through volcanic activity. Yeah, so the Mariana Trench, I always tell people, like, if you could see my search history, you would either say that's my best friend I've been looking for my whole life, or you would say she's fucking nuts. Because literally I will be up at 2 a.m, not able to sleep, searching, like, what do animals look like in the Java Trench, and what do animals look like in the Mariana Trench, and are there the same sea creatures in the Java Trench that are in the Mariana Trench? And what's interesting is there are forms of life. You can go down this rabbit hole if you want. I don't know if it fascinates you as much as it fascinates me, Sammy, but Sammy knows about this. There are forms of life in those trenches that are so fucking weird. They're so weird. They look like little aliens. And those forms of life that are able to survive at that depth of water, and to survive the level of pressure and intensity that just sits upon life in that region, that kind of life, those forms of life, can't survive anywhere else. So I totally, like, hey, other people might be just watching reels or like cooking videos. No, I'm up in the middle of the night going, show me the weirdest alien creature from the Java Trench. And then I see some weird thing. I'm like, how am I going to go back to sleep? Anyway, you will go down that rabbit hole, I'm sure, at some point and have a lot of fun. But I wanted to show you that because it's interesting how similar Madagascar is to Indonesia. And at least for me, when I think about the two places, and I think about Africa and Indonesia, I don't necessarily draw this dotted line across the planet, but they are there. And they formed at the same time. And so you have a much higher concentration of volcanoes here, but right across the ocean there, the Indian Ocean, we have another place that's highly influenced. Okay, so that's a subduction zone. The two plates, boom, the bottom plate pushes down, it forms a trench. And so wherever you have a trench, on the upside of that trench, you have mineral activity. Does that make sense? So not as much in places like the Hawaiian island chain, but any land formation above a deeper trench area is going to have massive activity. So I call it a crystal womb. It's literally the birthplace of so many of our crystals. Have you ever noticed how mineral dense Indonesia is? It's not Madagascar, but it's close. There is more banding in Indonesian agate than any other agate formed on the planet. Again, this may not be that interesting to you, but it is to me, because one of the things I love about gemstones is how they band. When you think of blue lace agate, you think of which comes from South Africa, right? Again, same latitude band. And then you look at the variety of agates. There is so much iron in the basalt in Indonesia, and the way it forms and the bubble pockets inside of the basalt as the Indonesian islands were forming make the finest little lines and formations in the agate. Again, Madagascar, you'll find some really rad mini line formations, and I was showing a lot of that stuff when I was on TV because they had some cool stuff. They have some cool stuff at Shop LC from Madagascar that I don't have. They have a more direct line, and so they get to kind of, when there's new stuff, they get access to it. But there were some micro line formations in that Madagascar material, same kind of thing you see in Indonesian agate. You'll get, and if there's time and you're interested, if there isn't time, I can just link to it for you. But I was going to show you this video about one of the gold mines. There's a lot of gold in Indonesia. There's a lot of copper. There is a lot of opal. And on other minerals that you find there's a lot of hydrothermal etching. And again, that's because of anywhere from 50 to 100 million years of absolute boiling water. And again, where you find boiling water, there has to have been either historical or current volcanic activity. Okay, any questions about this so far? So the volcanic silica fluids move, they cool in layers in those little pockets that form. And Lake Toba, which I meant to circle for you. I can't remember which image it's on. I should remember Lake Toba. Is the center of the basin. When we post the notes, I will circle it for you, but just look for Toba. That's the center of the caldera. One of these has it. Darn it. I should have marked it for you. Toba. Okay. Anyway, we'll find it. Okay. Yes, you do need to learn how to scuba dive and find rad crystals. But you know what's interesting is, you know how we always talk about bumblebee jasper? First of all, West Sulawesi is where most of the crystals in Indonesia come from. They come from Sulawesi, and they come from Java and Mount Merapi, which is right here, which is part of this larger volcanic complex. So 9 times out of 10, if you ask me where a stone's from, sometimes we're going to hear Sumatra. Your amber's from Sumatra. So let me, while we're here, let me circle that for you. The Indonesian blue amber is from Sumatra, and then most of your agates and most of your other materials are from West Sulawesi, which sometimes is the same, considered the same as Java. Okay. Okay. According to most people, by the way, the last major volcanic eruption that was mineral producing was 75,000 years ago. The most extreme and the most recent. But that's a young eruption for Indonesia, right? Indonesia has been erupting for millions of years. Okay, so let's talk about blue amber. Like I said, I'm so stoked to get to talk about it because I've been selling it. So ever since I discovered it, I really, when I started Sage Goddess, I always thought of amber as kind of the same. It's just funny to tell you. But I was like, amber's amber, right? I never really had somebody sit me down and say, actually, no. And the kind of tree that it comes from matters. And when the tree fell matters. Because if the tree is an ancient tree, then it's more likely to have been agatized, right? And to develop into what we would call petrified wood. And then, tropical trees have their own magic. And I do want to show you, this is not blue amber, but there is other amber on the planet that fluoresces under blue light. This one has a little bit, not that much. I don't know if you can see that on there, but it's not like this. Isn't that cool? But like I said, you can't, one of the party tricks you can do with an amber like this, it's less, I mean, it's beautiful, but do you see how it's more burgundy? It's more pink because of the fluorescence. As a fire sign, I just love that like red, orange kind of molten, but it's up to you. Some people like the kind of like burgundy pink color of the blue. I love black amber too. I think there's a piece on my crystal healing tray of black amber. I think we brought you like every color and kind of amber. But like I said, I feel like there's some bias toward the Baltic stuff because you see the bugs. Like when I was at Tucson this year, there's a ton of it with the bugs in it. My thing as a practitioner is I don't know that it's any more powerful. It's just more visually interesting and aesthetically interesting because you've got, something floating inside of it. Yeah, I mean, like Hillary said, it's just more expensive with bugs. Which, by the way, I know what we're talking about, but that's funny. Like just reading your sentence. It's expensive with the bugs. Pay extra for bugs. But yeah, no, we do, Robin and I both love amber, and we both feel like it's very stabilizing, very grounding for the central nervous system. So, okay. So blue amber from Sumatra. And it's here. Now, like I said, it formed in one of those lush, really beautiful, historic rainforests. And it's hard to imagine now that it would have literally been, that's what they say about the Sumatran forest, that it was as lush as you would think of as like the northern redwood forest is now. It doesn't look like that now. It's more like any other tropical island you would visit. There are trees, there's lots of flora and fauna, but it's more spread out. It's not as dense. And honestly, the forms of life that exist today in Sumatra are different than they would have been when this blue opal was forming. So what happens is there are organic molecules inside of blue amber that absorb light. And that's why I was telling you, this is not unlike the light, sort of light play effects that happen with other stones. It creates a different effect. And so it absorbs the light, then the stone re-emits the light as a blue wavelength. And so when you hit it with the fluorescent light, it's basically your eyes seeing that light re-emitted on that particular wavelength, which I think is really cool. I did not know, however, and I learned this in Tucson this year. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to store this away as like a fun fact for you guys. There is a Dominican amber that's blue that looks very similar to this from the Dominican Republic, not far from where Larimar comes from. It's not as easy to find. I saw somebody with a couple of pieces in Tucson and it was super, super expensive. And at first I thought it was the Sumatran stuff. So I'm like, oh, look, it's Indonesian blue amber, and I was met with, no, this is, Dominican amber, blue amber. And I'm like, it was really expensive. So, there are other regions and other places. And of course, we know there was historical volcanic activity in the Dominican area. So that makes sense. Now, here's the experiment I wanted to do. And you know me with the pendulum and stuff. Like I love seeing the power of our crystals. And so I want to see if you see a difference in yours too. So if you have another form of amber, I'm going to put these on my knees because it'll be a little easier to see. So I'm going to put my non-Indonesian amber here, and I'm going to put my Indonesian amber here. And I'm just going to make sure there's no other stones within 48 inches of me, nothing interfering. Okay. So I'm just going to notice the frequency of the two stones. So here's my non-Indonesian. You can see the pendulum moving. And I'm just kind of noticing the width of the dimensions of the movement. And now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to work with it over my Indonesian blue. So the first thing, this is what happens for me every time. First of all, the wave is longer and it's moving faster, which tells you about the frequency. Do you see the quickness of it? It's moving farther and it's moving faster. So again, let me come over here. It got tighter and it got slower. It's honestly, these are party tricks, but for people who say like, I don't believe in crystals and I don't notice anything, and I'm always like, okay, well, get me a pendulum. I can't make that up. And then what's interesting is when you start to go away from it. So watch this, okay? So hold it over, go to the left, keep going until it turns away, okay? Watch how big the energy field is of this stone. So it's starting to turn now. I went a good like 8 inches away from that stone. Okay, now watch. I'm going to keep going. Now you see how much that's moving now. I'm going to move away from it again, and then I'm going to wait for it to turn. You can see as well as I can. I'm still in its field. Do you see it? Now it's turning. Now you saw how wide that field was. Watch how long it takes for us to get into the field of the other stone. Okay, so we're in its field now, but do you see? The field is, I'll tell you when I'm starting to feel it turning. It's already starting to turn. We're out of the field of that stone. So this stone's field, by my like human eyes, is about 2 inches more narrow. Still in the field. Again, I'm going to show you one more experiment after this. Do you see I'm already at the edge of the field? Okay, so that's experiment number 1. Now I want you to get a piece of quartz or something else. But quartz is best if you can grab a piece of quartz. Because everybody's like, oh, quartz. This is may not look like much, but this is the strongest piece of quartz in my collection. It's also really old and chipped and awesome. Like probably one of the most priceless things I own, and it's probably worth $1. But it's been with me on some trips. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you that the energy field of this stone is much higher. I've been working with this crystal for most of my life, and I think it was either my first or second piece of quartz. So it's going to have a high vibration. But what I want you to notice is the field is still not as expansive. You see how strong it is? But I'm already out of the field. In the field, I go maybe 1 inch, and I'm out of the field. So quartz, what quartz does for me energetically is it makes a very, very, very strong, but very short field. And what the blue amber does, I mean, look at that. I'm barely 1 inch outside of it and I'm out of the field. What the blue amber does is create a similarly high vibration, which is interesting because it's not quartz. And it maintains that vibration at greater distances. So, I mean, look at that. I'm still in its field. Only now. So I'll tell you this. When we talk about the spectrum of healing crystals, and this is a lot of what I want to teach about in this new class that I'm trying to put together for you. When we talk about healing crystals, given what I just showed you, if you had to pick one of these stones to do some physical healing work, what would you choose? I mean, it's an interesting question because most people would go, oh, quartz. What the pendulum tells you is the intensity of the field around an object. It can tell you the intensity of your own field. When I'm not feeling well, like this past week, I was working with my pendulum on myself, and I was just like, I could tell I wasn't feeling well because my own vibration was lower. I mean, literally, this has more energy in it for the size of it than the quartz does. And that's why this work is so fascinating to me, because it even those of us who've been doing this work for a long time and work with crystals every day, and this is what we do for a living, still kind of get surprised ourselves when we realize that quartz may be a very high frequency stone, but the way it runs the energy is different. And so when you work with something that's millions of years old and isn't just, and by the way, it doesn't have a repeating structure. That's the other kind of conundrum about amber, is we tend to think of crystals that have consistent repeating structures as being more powerful. But this doesn't have a crystal structure. So I'm curious about your thoughts about all of that, just because, isn't that interesting? And Tammy, were you doing it with the blue amber, or were you working with anyway, whatever other kind of amber, a brown amber? It's interesting, isn't it? Okay. So what I put in your notes is this has a very strong energetic electric charge. And I think it's the region, and I think it's the volcanic activity, because that seems to be correlated with the movement of the pendulum and the running, how the stone itself runs the energy. And then you can do other experiments with this too. Like you could take this quartz, which is, this one is from, where is this quartz from? I think this is Indian. It's not Brazilian. But try running it against a Lemurian, for example, and see what you think. In my experience, even though Brazil is a powerful place and like the birthplace of Lemuria and all of those things, Tibetan quartz, my pendulum goes a little crazier for quartz from the Himalayan ridge than it does for quartz from Brazil. But the quartz from the Himalayan ridge is also older, right? The Himalayan ridge was the first mountain ridge formed on the planet, as we know from this class. So I don't know, but I'm curious to know your thoughts about all of this. Now, this other stone, here's what's, like I said, I have loved all of the sets of tools that I've brought you this year. This oil blend is my favorite. And then the reason I am working with the pink drum today is because of a little guided visualization I want to do with you. I like to think of Indonesia as a hot tub for the soul. It's like a spa. It's like a sauna for your heart chakra. And that's why I was smiling, because my piece is a little tiny heart shaped. Which way was I showing it to you? Is it that way? When I turn it this one direction, I guess it's this way. It's like oh, here it is. Perfect little heart. Isn't that sweet? What's cool is this is a stalactite of the natrolite. Did anybody else have a piece like this that has like the little, do you see how it looks like an orange slice? See that right there? That's a stalactite. This is a piece, it's not broken, but it would have cracked over time. Stalactites are relatively fragile in the formation of your crystals. And so this just would have cracked over time. You can see it's still polished by nature herself. But do you have a little stalactite too? Isn't that cool? So it's just neat. This would have been in a deeply embedded underwater cave. Now, how many of you remember what I use natrolite for? The material that comes from Russia, Siberia. Does anybody remember? Stephanie's piece has 3 partial stalactites. By the way, if you look at the back of mine, it looks like a nipple. That's not why I'm showing it to you. But it's like a little stalactite nipple. And now you can't unsee it. One day I'm going to grow up, and then my teaching is not going to be as interesting anymore. Look, it's a heart nipple. It's a hipple. Anybody else get a hipple? I know. Seriously, it's like, don't grow up, don't do it. It's a trap. Pain. Thank you, Susan Moore, for bringing it home. Yes. So Natrolite for me is a pain reliever. What are the 3 pain relieving stones? Do you guys remember? This is your quiz. Natrolite, Axonite, Bloodstone. It's true. And to be honest, nothing else has really worked for me. I have stones that I love for reducing what I feel reduces inflammation levels, like sudolite and udilite are really helpful for me when I'm having pain, like my MS pain. Sometimes I'll have neuralgia or neuropathy, and I do find that those particular crystals are helpful for reducing inflammation. But axonite, natrolite, bloodstone, I'm still on the hunt for others because my goal is to find something really common and be able to say it helps support comfort in the body. Bloodstone's pretty affordable. But then there's a hierarchy of bloodstone. I think the South African bloodstone is more effective than the Indian bloodstone because it has a higher quartz ratio of quartz to the jasper. Anyway, and then there's natrolite, which is not a quartz-bearing mineral at all, right? And it has its own chemical structure. But what's interesting about the pink natrolite, while it is natrolite, it's also a member of the zeolite family. And it forms in these little, what look like needles, but are actually stalactites. Again, it forms in the gas pockets and bubbles when the lava comes down the volcano and it starts to harden, there are bubbles in it. And so in some of the bubbles, natrolite forms. And so it forms in those little cavities in the basalt. And basalt is really important. I've been talking about basalt a lot lately because the Hawaiian Islands, the Indonesian islands, Madagascar itself, they're all formed on a basalt plateau. And basalt is, of course, volcanic, but it requires all 4 elements to be produced. So it's highly alchemical because it starts from fire, which hardens into earth, and it spreads through the air, and also the gas bubbles that form within it are pockets of air. And most of the time, right, basalt is formed as the lava cools. It's usually running into a body of water, and so that's how the element of water is in that alchemy too. So coming back to what I was telling you about, the spa for your soul or spa for your heart, this set of tools is really about not just heart opening, but heart softening. One of the lessons of the Indonesian stones, and what I want to do in a little visualization and journey with you tonight, because I was really sitting with, it's our last class. We always like to have some kind of meditation or experience. I haven't drummed with you, I've drummed with you quite a bit this year, but not every time. And I thought, what could I really do for tonight that isn't just special to this region and to these stones, but that would be helpful for you in the world right now? A lot of us, in response to intensity of energy around us, my natural reaction is to toughen up, right? Like we even say that to kids growing up, like you're going to have to get a thicker skin, or you're going to have to toughen up. I remember my parents saying that to me all the time, like, you can't go out in the world like that, so tenderhearted and so vulnerable, you're going to get eaten alive. I don't know if you ever heard stuff like that, but a lot of us as empaths growing up, we were so tuned in and so connected and so aware of the vibrations that we just would internalize and feel everything so intensely. And I remember my mom saying, like, I'm worried about you. You don't have a thick skin. I actually think the most important thing, like the secret to being human right now, is not to do that. That's what everybody else is doing. And what I've learned is the secret to being successful is see what everybody else is doing and then go do the opposite thing. Go do what the other kids are not doing. And so I want to do a heart softening meditation with you tonight. And honestly, I couldn't have picked better stones. I couldn't have picked more intentional oils. Patchouli is always going to wrap its arms around you and hold you. And I don't just mean hug you. I mean hug you and hold you, right? And I just think love is the medicine right now. So let me come back to, so zeolite forms in those cavities in the basalt layers. The pink in it comes, I mentioned this earlier, lots of manganese and iron. You're always going to have manganese and iron. Not always, but most of the time where you have volcanic activity, you're going to see a surge in manganese and in iron. Okay, so what does the pink natrolite do for you? Where I would say the general, I almost brought my piece out to show you, but a lot of you have the white natrolite, right? The Russian material, which is, I love it. I mean, I will tell you it's special whenever I can find it. I don't think we found any of it in Tucson, and I was looking for it. Whereas that is for general pain relief, kind of like a, like an anti-inflammatory for the body. Pink natrolite is the pain reliever of the heart. I really feel strongly about that. It's true. So let me speak more specifically to what I mean by that. A lot of times heartache comes from shock. It comes from, we call it being blindsided in English, right? In different languages, they have different words for that. This is a really important stone for healing from betrayal, which unfortunately is an experience a lot of people have. I have felt it. Betrayal is a unique kind of pain because betrayal only happens when something happens with someone who should not have done or said, or something's out of order, is what betrayal is. There's usually an energy of like, I can't believe that happened, or I can't believe they did that, or I can't believe they said that. It requires what we call cognitive dissonance, which is experiencing two forms of reality simultaneously that are in conflict with each other. And again, you may be experiencing that just because the world is intense right now, right? But if you are experiencing multiple forms of reality and your soul is aching as a result of it, this is the stone medicine. So it might not be for you. You might be thinking, as I'm talking to you right now, you might be going, wow, you know what? I don't know that this is for me. I think this is for my friend, or I think this is for my business partner, or I think this is for my coworker. Karina said, I love this alignment. Today, as I chose my sacred adornment, I chose so much pink to support my own heart healing. I love that. And I do. I think pink is, obviously, it's one of the colors of the heart chakra. It's funny. Rachel poured my Diet Coke into a green glass today, and I was thinking about that, like in the little bottle for the oils this month is green. I'm so glad it's resonating. And then Hillary said she grew up with it from her mother. A lot of times it's not an external partnership. It's somebody in our own family where it's just like, wait, what? Like, you did what? You said what? So here's the thing. And I'm saying this with no judgment. A lot of times the intensity that we feel in relationships can cause a permanent heart hardening. Like, you can decide after a really deep pain, look, I'm never going to even make myself vulnerable to potentially feel that again, right? I'm going to stay 500 feet away from whatever that was. But again, I think what keeps coming to me spiritually is we have to stay open. We have to stay fluid, because as soon as we harden, everything shuts down. And your heart is connected to your sacral chakra intimately. So when you close off your heart to feeling, you also close off your heart and your spirit to intimacy more generally. So anyway, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm not a pink clothing person, though. Can I just be out about that? I think I have a couple of pieces of pink clothing. Now fuchsia, like I'm an intense clothing color person though. And 99% of the time that's going to be black. I do have other clothing colors besides black, but I'm just a fan. You know what I mean? You're not going to go in my closet and go, her closet is awash in blush pink. It's not. But you might find some fuchsia in there. And I'm going to say that's still a heart chakra color. I find it, I don't know what it is about pink. Anyway, we're not talking about clothing. So relaxation after shock, integration of emotional harm or betrayal. That is the stone. I'm going to keep going because there's a lot of properties of this. Okay. Reordering your energy after a chaotic event. That can be an argument, a fight. That can be watching the news. That could be whatever it is. If you've had a chaotic event, and what that means is different for you than it is for me, right? Like, I might experience something and go, that wasn't chaotic. And you might go through it and go, holy shit. The only thing that matters is whether your central nervous system experienced it as disordered or chaotic. So it's not a comparison. It's just like, whoa, you know that feeling when like you see something or you hear something and you almost feel a jump scare around it? That's what this stone resolves. Feminine refinement, emergence from chaotic past or childhood. I wrote in the notes, remember that this comes from a light formation in spaces left behind once the fire is finished. Remember that this forms in the spaces left once the fire is finished. I think that's really important. So this is, remember how I said that your blue amber has like the highest charge of any amber I've ever worked with? I know. It makes me emotional to say that after the fire is finished. I have lived through massive fire. I think I told you that my parents' restaurant burned down when I was in high school. That was the most chaotic of them because I've lived through like San Bernardino wildfires and stuff. And anyway, there's that moment when a fire's done and there's just ash, like a moment of finality and something to grieve, right? Like I don't have to tell most of you that. You've had your own experiences with it. But I remember looking at just the rubble of my parents' life's work, right? And just thinking like, there's such a finality to that. But what these stones represent is the beauty that comes from that finality, if that makes sense. So let's check the field around this stone, right? So here you can see the intensity of it. And then let's just see how wide the field is. You saw how wide the blue amber is. Do you see how this is not wide? Again, we were looking at like 6 to 8 inches on either side of that blue amber. And here we're looking at like very similar to quartz, right? So of the two, ironically, the blue amber is more potent, right, in terms of the vibration and the frequency. But this one is sweeter, it's more tender, it's a little more, it's softer. And I guess that's why the combination of them feels so powerful to me. So, and I just was writing in your notes, but you know this already, that it's related to the white or the clear nature light from Russia in terms of its presence in the Synergy 12 and what it represents, but it's different because the location is different. Okay, any questions around the pink nature light, the blue amber? I made a note in my notes, your notes, to say, there's lots of other cool stones from Indonesia too. Robin and I have brought you a boat ton of them, right? One of my favorites is bumblebee jasper. Don't you love bumblebee jasper? That's that volcanic activity and lots of sulfur. It's a very sulfur rich area. So it creates those vibrant colors. And remember, I taught you that when you see your Indonesian stones and you think, wow, that banding is so tight and so clean. It's because of the compression of the way the basalt forms in Indonesia. And because of that the way the plates merge together in those subduction zones. I love bumblebee jasper, but it's deadly to mine it. I mean, people have fallen in. It's I can't even imagine, Bumblebee jasper comes from an active volcano. So it's kind of crazy. And people have asked me, like, how do you feel about that? And what are the ethics of that, right? Like who's mining it? And then there are years where there's so much of it at Tucson and Denver. And then there's years where there's like hardly any of it. And every time that happens, I'm always like, did shit go down? And, it's scary when you think about mining from an active volcano. I do want to show you this really quick, just because I think it's interesting. And then I'll come back to my notes. I'm not going to show you this whole video. I'll post it. But because it's a rabbit hole. But just watch like 2 minutes of it.
For himself, Earthsburg.
On May 30th, 1960.
This is the Grasberg mine. It's a gold mine.
Determined to reach the Earthsburg.
He asked his friend and fellow geologist Dillis Flint to come along.
Flint jumped at the chance to take part in the adventure of a lifetime, despite the perils of trekking through Irian Jaya.
The worst thing there were the leeches. And if you looked at a bush, the leech would be there trying to find something warm that he could attach to. We'd always get a few. And one time I found one on the roof of my mouth.
Nope.
If I hadn't been busy talking, I guess I wouldn't have had it happen.
Nope.
But leeches weren't the only unfriendly locals. Only 1 year after the Forbes-Wilson expedition, the explorer Michael Rockefeller vanished in Irian Jaya.
It's interesting.
Some believe the son of Governor Nelson Rockefeller drowned or was killed by sharks, but others are convinced he was eaten by cannibals.
Interesting.
When Dill Flint and Forbes Wilson first encountered Irian's indigenous peoples, they felt threatened, but for a different reason.
Okay, I want to show you, as I'm saying, you will go down rabbit holes and like lose your mind, but I want to show you the mine itself because it'll show you what the caldera structure looks like. It's not far from here that the nature light comes from.
With Hotels.com.
Give me a second. I'm going to get past the commercial. Sorry. If you love this kind of thing, you will lose your mind on these videos that you'll find. Okay, so let me see if I can find so you can see the actual geology. Here's a little bit of it.
Among them was a young Indonesian from Sumatra named Ilyas Hamid.
When I was selected to come here, I was a little bit afraid because I heard there were almost no people in this place. And also some rumors that people in this area ate other human beings. However, when I shared my concern with my family,
I really just want to show you the geology. Here you go.
Ran into a towering 2,000-foot cliff.
There you go.
Bechtel's engineers had an ingenious solution. A helicopter carried a 9,000-foot-long nylon rope to a platform at the future mine.
So
With this bolted in place, workers hoisted up ever thicker ropes until the line was strong enough to hold steel cables as thick as a man's arm. This web of steel became the longest aerial tramway of its day and one of the steepest. Its cars rose 2,000 feet in less than a mile. But no one anticipated the mysterious vibrations that shook its cables.
Vibrations would be so strong they had to stop everything because the ore cars would vibrate right off the cable. They called in a Swiss mathematician. He said these cables are like the strings on a very fine violin. If they're a bit out of tune, the violin sounds lousy. He recalculated speeds and stresses. And since then, everything has gone very smoothly.
Isn't that crazy? It's amazing the lengths that they will go to. Now, I was telling you about the amount of gold. And just like everywhere that they mine gold and it attracts people and it makes people do crazy things, like the level of danger of excavating that gold mine and getting down into that gold mine. Obviously, there were local dangers like animals and indigenous tribes that were angry with the excavation of the land because a lot of these places are considered sacred. That's the other piece, right? I mean, you and I know why. But it always surprises me when these geologists don't understand that crystals come from places that most indigenous populations consider sacred and holy. And there's a reason that the indigenous people consider these places sacred and holy because the vibration is different. And then we come in and find gold or find manganese or find copper or whatever is expensive and valuable and blast it all. And then we, anyway, I find it interesting, but it's a typical story. So coming back to Sumatra. Sumatra, I'm going to say, is my favorite place on the planet. Sumatra and Sulawesi, because it gave me patchouli. And I can't imagine. I mean, I love crystals so much, but I will say essential oils are still for me so powerful as healers, transformers of energy. And we would not have patchouli, Pagastaman, Kabli if it was not for Indonesia. It has been exported to other subtropical regions. So now a lot of patchouli in the world comes from India, for example. Same plant. I mentioned earlier, it's a member of the mint family. It gets better with age. So aged patchouli is 10 times more valuable than young patchouli. You can smell the difference. Some people categorize it as light and dark. How many of you like an aged patchouli? It's a little aged patchouli. Some people like a younger patchouli because it's sharper and it's a little more, I don't know, it smells more like a healing plant. And darker patchouli has more of like an ambery. This is dark patchouli in this blend. It's got like more of a buttery, ambery, musky note to it. That's what I like. But when it's first harvested and distilled, it's a little sharper, a little tighter. It's less expensive. Obviously, aged patchouli has to be aged, but there isn't a light and dark plant. It's the distillation and the age that produces the value of your patchouli. Okay. Do you know how we ended up with patchouli? It is such an amazing story. And I wrote about it in Crystal Lore all those years ago, but I love to tell the story again anyway. So you know what the Silk Road is, right? The Silk Road is arguably the most important aspect of modern history. In fact, it's probably the reason why we have modern history, because it was the main trade route. All your gemstones, all your oils, your herbs, everything was traded along the Silk Road. I think I must have had a past life on the Silk Road. And what I would say is I would have lost my mind. I mean, can you imagine being on this trade route where it's like really fine foods and chocolate was being traded and silk material was being traded and gemstones and resins and I mean, everything you can imagine that's part of the things that you and I love was being traded on the Silk Road. So there was a lot of fabric trading and a lot of silk trading on the Silk Road. And the only thing, there's a series on PBS about the Silk Road. I have to watch it. Can you send a link or post a link? Because I have not seen it, and that would be my jam on a weekend. So the fabric was breaking down because of moths and just the time and the dampness or the dryness of the regions that they were traveling through. And so when they put leaves of patchouli inside between the layers of fabric, it didn't deteriorate or break down. And it's a natural insect repellent. So it repelled all the moths. So people started noticing like certain Indian vendors were getting their silk materials along the Silk Road, and they were, getting from one place to the next without deterioration. And people were like, how is that happening? So then when those really expensive fabrics got to Europe, what did they smell like? Smelled like patchouli. So Europeans, as Europeans do, started going, ooh, this is really good. I like this. I want more of this. Can I get this in a bottle? Can I get this in a powder? I want to burn this right in my home. And so then the traders got smart. And instead of just putting the leaves between the fabric, they started distilling the oil and drying the leaves and powdering it and selling it as an incense. And so that is the origin. And then in the 1800s, the Victorians associated it with all kinds of things, but primarily they associated it with mystery, with the occult, and with sex and sensuality. They believed it was an aphrodisiac. Most of us agree it's an aphrodisiac. So is ylang ylang, by the way. So in addition to being a really powerful heart healing blend, this is also a really sexy blend too. Like I said, I think it's one of the best things we've made. Okay, after the Victorian era, patchouli became known as a fixative. So I had a very rare bottle of tuberose, absolute, like 15 years ago. And a friend of mine got it for me, and it's a little tiny bottle, but tuberose is really expensive, the absolute. And she was like, put a little patchouli in it. And I was like, no, I don't want to disrupt this. And she was like, if you don't, you're going to lose this because it's going to go rancid. So you've got to put some vetiver, some patchouli. She was right. So I added just a little bit of patchouli to it, and it did not go bad. But just as an experiment, I kept a little bit of the tuberose absolute and didn't add the patchouli to it, and it went rancid. Broke my damn heart. So if you have something fragile, meaning an oil that on its own isn't going to age well, it can actually go sour on you. Even rose, after a while, rose does not have the shelf life. So if you have a really good rose, like somebody gives you or gifts you, or you find at a Botanica or perfumery, you find some really good expensive absolute, just trust me, so that your heart doesn't get broken, add patchouli to it. Patchouli gives every essential oil as a fixative indefinite shelf life. Your patchouli will outlive you. 100 years from now, if you were to put patchouli on your clothes and then hang them in your closet 100 years from now, your clothes will still smell like patchouli, which is creepy, but it's also really cool. I sometimes think about that, like how I have so many like fabrics and textiles and things. And unless one day when I'm gone, my kids wash everything, my stuff will smell like patchouli long after I'm gone. And so here's the key of it. Okay. The reason why patchouli is so grounding is actually where it comes from. It really only grows. I've tried to grow it 10 times here in LA, and every time it's died. It'll get to a certain point, and the soil here has too much clay in it. It's too wet and heavy, and the roots, because patchouli needs volcanic soil, it needs almost like a perlite. You know what perlite is? Kind of like creates space around the roots. Here, we don't have it. I could make an artificial mix, but I haven't. But every time I plant it, it dies. So it needs heavy rainfall and highly porous volcanic soil to grow. So it can only grow in an area or a region that's been formed by fire. And that's why I'm saying it's so grounding, so alchemical, so transformative for your energy field. So even if you don't love it, it would make it hard for us to be friends, because I smell like it even when I'm not trying to smell like it. But even if you don't like it, what I would say is try it if you have anxiety. You'll be amazed what it'll do for your energy field. And then oud is agar wood. It's the same regions I showed you earlier, but also Borneo, Papua New Guinea. You'll find the agar wood trees. It's called the sacred resin of the wounded tree. And I think you know the story about this. I have a piece somewhere, but it's still packed in my super old SG stuff. I have not been able to find it, which is kind of a heartbreak. But I had a big piece of heartwood that a customer had sent me as a gift. So the heartwood, when the agar wood tree gets injured, it falls. And the infection from that injury, just like an infection in your skin or in your body, goes down and into the whole piece of what they call the heartwood. And so the agarwood tree is actually naturally very light, like almost like this parchment paper color. But when it gets this infection, it turns brown, like the color of my Dr. Pepper. And so the oil, the agarwood true oud oil, is kind of dark and thick and resiny, but the tree itself, it has almost an ivory colored bark to it. And so that's how they can tell very easily when they're in these jungles and rainforests, which parts of the agarwood forests they should look to for oud. Now, here's the thing. You can't manufacture oud. I mean, they've done a lot of experiments where they've tried to artificially harm the tree to cause the infection to start, which will lead to the formation of it. But what I've been told is it never smells the same. There's something about a naturally occurring injury to the tree that creates a more intense oil than something that is human-made, which makes a lot of sense to me, but it's also kind of magical. So it's a mold or a fungus that infects it, in case you were wondering. And the saying is, no infection, no oud. No mud, no lotus, right? It's been used in temples, royal courts. And just like patchouli, there was a time where if you were not an elite, meaning somebody with a lot of money, you couldn't access it. Patchouli became kind of a racket because it was very widely available. I mean, you're not going to pack a leaf in with your fabrics and stuff if it's expensive. It's almost like layering it with newspaper. right? And then all of a sudden when people are like, "Oh, this is really pretty. I want this. Where do I get it? How can I buy it?" You know what I mean? It just became a prized commodity. Okay, and then the last oil in our blend, and then we'll do our heart softening meditation. The last oil in your blend is called ylang ylang. It's also called the flower of divinity. It brings bliss and heart awakening. It is supposed to bind lovers across space and time, which I think is beautiful and romantic. The name ylang ylang, the loose translation is that which dances. And there's a theory that because ylang ylang, there's a theory that ylang ylang brings money and abundance and good fortune. And there's the same theory about patchouli, and there's actually the same theory about oud. And part of it is, again, the soil is incredibly rich. You know, it's just, there's nothing that doesn't grow really, really well in that kind of volcanic environment where the soil is loose and quick draining, and the rain is so abundant, right? And the temperatures are warm. And that is just that's a breeding ground for beauty. So it's used in love rituals, comes from the same regions, Java, Sumatra, Sulawesi, West Sulawesi, which is Java, right? I showed you that. It comes from right there, down the middle. Now, what's interesting is every essential oil, every plant has multiple compounds in it, right? That make up the totality of the scent as your olfactory system receives it. Ylang ylang has more than most. It has over 100 different compounds. So it's highly complex. What's interesting about ylang ylang from a perfuming perspective, even though this isn't a perfuming class, it smells different in every blend. If you put ylang ylang as a heart note with lots of white flowers and some kind of citrus as a top note, that perfume is going to smell completely different than when you do what we did here, which is ask it to function as both a heart note and a top note, and then put 2 base notes under it, oud and patchouli. So what you're going to notice with this blend is because it's base note heavy, it sort of it like flattens out the bottom of the ylang ylang and deepens it and makes it a little richer. If I were to put it with mostly top notes and let it function more like a base note, you probably wouldn't even recognize it, because what happens is the other oils potentiate certain compounds. So the patchouli and the agar wood, is this making sense? The patchouli and the agar wood sort of activate different compounds in the ylang ylang than the other oils that people usually combine it with do. So it's for infinite fertility, which sounds really scary. I'm in my 50s. I'm not really looking for infinite fertility, but you might be. So it's a big time fertility potion. It's used a lot in magic and spells for pregnancy. It is about overflowing life force. So if you know someone who's trying to get pregnant, and that's everything I wanted to tell you. So how are you feeling? I'm always so grateful for your, the way you get excited about things, because I do too. And I just think it's, this whole year has been a celebration of how incredibly complex and gorgeous this planet is, and how magical and mysterious it is too. Sometimes when life can seem overwhelming and we get overwhelmed by our daily struggles or whatever, the planet is going through. I love, researching these topics or going down these rabbit holes, because it reminds you how big this planet is. I find comfort in how small I am sometimes when I think about the grandness of the world. Okay, so let's do this again. We should do like a heart anointing. Maybe do one heart facing you. And then, I guess that heart's facing away. This one I'll do facing me, and try to draw it in a continuous line. And then you can merge those. Seriously, will you make a note of that? I would actually like a bigger bottle of this, and I would really like it. I don't know about you, but I would like it in a bath oil blend, like something that I could pour into my bath water. Because I would like to layer this, So thank you. And then do a little heart on your ankles. You can do a little heart at your third eye. It's hard for me to do it on myself, but I'm going to try to do it. And then, I've taught you this before, but the way to make a scent talisman, the way to imprint a scent spiritually is to smell it 7 times with a full exhale in between. So 1, I did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then if you really like it, rub it on your clothes. Because again, unless you use industrial detergent, it will stay in your clothing, which I love too. Do we need to open a circle for this one? We're not really, maybe we are because we're moving energy. We're going to move a little bit of energy. Not a ton tonight, but a little bit. You put your oils in a diffuser. I did too, but like sometimes if there's just a little bit, then I'm like, oh, I don't want to put the whole thing in there because I don't want to not have any left. So that's why I was saying if you have a good carrier oil that you like, my favorite is fractionated coconut because it's so affordable. It doesn't have the same shelf life that jojoba does. Jojoba has an almost indefinite shelf life, but fractionated coconut is more affordable. So anyway. That way you can make it last a little longer. So I want you to hold your crystals in your hands. If you don't have the 2 from this kit, then I just want you to hold, what would some good alternatives be? Rose quartz, morganite, regular natrolite, bloodstone would be nice. Quartz in a pinch, right? You can always program quartz to act as if it's another stone. So the ceremony I was thinking about for tonight, or the visualization I'm thinking about for tonight, is very, very simple, but I like it because it's portable and it's easy. And for me, it's so reflective of the energy of this place and its formation. So, can you hear me okay over the drum? Just let me know. So I want you to close your eyes, roll your shoulders back, call your energy into present time. So I want you to imagine that you're walking in the middle of one of these beautiful forested areas of Indonesia in those moments, in those formation moments. Millions of years ago. I want you to feel the warmth of the air on your skin. And remember, Indonesia, you were either on the top of a volcano or you were on the shores of the beach, right? And everything in between. So I want you to imagine coming to the edge of the shoreline. Sumatra and Java, Bali. Could be modern Indonesia, could be ancient Indonesia. Wherever your heart feels called, and you don't even have to know where you're feeling called. Just let your spirit guides lead you. I want you to walk to the water's edge and just feel this invitation to step into the waters. The waters around the islands in Indonesia becomes very deep. Obviously there are trenches, but around the islands it's shallow and warm and crystal clear. I want you to feel that call, that invitation to step into the water until you're in the water about waist height. I want you to let yourself, if it feels comfortable, relax into that water, lean back into it. let yourself float here. The beauty of this place is that there's land masses all around you. You're protected, you're held. So here you can relax, lay back in these warm waters. Feel the protection, the anchoring of this land around you, this ancient vibration of peace and love and heart healing, comfort, magic. And as you relax into this flotation, let all the tension flow out of your arms and your legs, through your fingers and your toes. Notice if you can feel the warmth, feeling the energy of the sun's rays on your skin. I want you to bring all of your energy, your focus, your attention to your heart. Feel your heartbeat start to merge with the beat of my drum. This place, probably like your heart, is an alchemy of intensely rigid, dense, strong foundations of earth and time, heat and pressure, pain. But this place is also soft and beautiful. It's lush and it's warm, forgiving. I want you to notice the places in your heart where you have that density, where fire has flowed over your soft edges, where life has tried to make you hard, unforgiving. Not your fault, just life and time, pressure. I want you to allow the warmth of this water, the flow of this place, this energy to wash over those hard places within you, to bring compassion, forgiveness. After the fire. This is a good time to ask yourself, ask your spirit, ask your soul, what has become hard in you? And you might come up with a word, a phrase, a sound. Your mind might drift to an experience. Just notice what became hard, when, how. And can you imagine now with these tools and this vision, can you bring softness there again? That might look like faith, trust. It might feel like tears. You might notice resistance, like I don't want to be vulnerable there. But then let the wisdom of your higher self, of your soul, remind you, becoming harder doesn't fix anything. Doesn't change anything. Doesn't release anything. In fact, it crystallizes things. You know, together we've really explored how this planet has resisted the temptation to ice over, to freeze over, to resist change. This planet yields, it flows, it forgives, it changes. Every landmass is shifting every day on this planet. Crystals are still growing. So, where do we find your softness? What's your resistance to it? Can you let the scent of these oils and the wisdom of these stones, the place they've come from, to reach you? Millions of years, thousands of miles, just to be in your hands. And see this just as an invitation, just a possibility. What could be? And if it feels good, by the way, it's 5:55. Money flows freely to you from sources seen and unseen. I'm Menaho, and so it is. Can you make a commitment to softening around whatever it is in your life that needs your softness? Could be a person. Is it a person? What would transform in your life if you were softer? Is it an experience? Is it a place? Is it a dynamic? Is it the past? Is it the present? So my intention tonight, and the timing is so divine, right? Ahead of some Mercury retrograde, eclipse, funhouse times that we're going to experience together. I think softening into the next few weeks is the medicine. Let yourself be soft, be surprised, be open, be fluid. Especially in places where you're hardening as a defense mechanism that you know doesn't really serve you in the first place. Be soft. Deep breath in, hold, exhale out, inhale again, and then exhale. Let each exhale be deeper, softer, rounder. One more time. Hold and exhale. Just back to the heartbeat. How you doing? Could you find it? I know. I didn't mean to ring the bell, but I rang my bell. Ding! Hi, Paxton. What are you doing? That's cute. He brought his, I don't know if you can see, he brought his little bone in. Did you bring that for me? No. Oh boy. Yeah. How are you feeling? Yeah. And I will say the heart softening work is baby steps, right? You didn't harden your heart overnight, so you're not gonna, at least in my experience, it's not a quick in, quick out kind of thing. But I think for me, it's more of an intention, right? Every time there's pain, I find slowly myself wanting to prevent that from happening again. But that's not why we're here. So it's a conundrum, right? You feel floaty. So if you want to, here's what I'm gonna do some stone readings. So we're gonna transition and segue. So again, I can't believe this is the end of our last class of the entire year, but we're not done yet. If you want to feel more floaty for a few minutes, if you want to take it deeper, all you have to do is use your breath. So what that would look like is, and you can either inhale. Well, let me just teach you. Keep your mouth closed. So it's just a looped breath. Inhale, exhale, do it 10 times without a break in between. That's if you want to go deeper and you like that floaty feeling and you want more of that. So I'll do it in case you want to do it. So you can do it with me. And if you don't want to do that, then you can just stay where you are. Ready? 10. And then let your breath breathe you. You do 10 more of those, you won't be able to walk straight. But maybe that's where you're at right now. And if it's bedtime, then maybe that's a good thing for you. Okay, so I'm going to pull my trusty tray over. I think, yeah, I'll pull my beautifully for all of our experiences this year. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this around. And you guys see my tray? Let's see how I'm gonna do this for you so you can see it. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Bring this like that. There you go. Okay. And thank you for your permission. So much appreciated. It's interesting. This is a different piece of the blue amber, but I kind of like this piece a little bit better for my tray. Would anybody like this? Did anybody not get the tools and think, wow, I'd really love a big piece of amber? This is from my crystal healing tray, but I'm going to keep the one from class tonight because it fits better on my tray. So I'll do this giveaway real quick before we continue on with readings. It's kind of cool, right? I don't like to keep duplicates on this tray because I just don't like duplicates. It's one of a customer on this tray only. Okay. Okay. Let me dive in and start doing readings, and then I'll come back and choose a winner too. Okay. Sharon Sassy. Okay, Sharon. got going on for you, Sharon? Sharon. Where are we going, Sharon? Oh, yeah. Yellow opal for you, Sharon. Transformation around, for me, yellow opal is always around transformation of power, but this also can be something, a vibration around you to increase your confidence, your strength, which I love that for you. And I love yellow opal. Yellow and green opals are among my favorites. This is an African yellow opal. It's an old one. If you can ever find yellow opal, I do recommend adding it to your collection, especially if you find a good piece like that. They're super special. Transformation for power. Okay, let me see where the blue ember is going. I'm so glad you won it. It's pretty special. Okay, Terry G. Come on, Terry. Terry G. This is yours. From my crystal tray to you with love. So I will send that off to you in the next day or two, and I'm very stoked to do that. Okay, now let me go back to readings. All right, Brissette. Let me see what stone is coming up for you, Brissette. And by the way, thank you for staying after for readings today. It's lovely to see you all. This is optional, but it's fun. Brissette. I felt you really strong over here. Yeah, whoa. They're talking about stress with you. What's going on? You can shift it. Actually, they're leading me down here. This is like these are old. This is old energy around you. Aquamarine. Emotional healing and renewal. They're talking about spring equinox. Which, can we just talk about the fact that it's March? Like, what? Like, because we're launching our spring equinox tools, I think, on Friday, and at Sage Goddess, and I'm like, that just feels weird, doesn't it? Wasn't it just Christmas? Anyway, Brissette, there's something around spring equinox for you and the timing of it. It's an opportunity. This is what the guides are saying. It's an opportunity for you to release energy that you've been carrying around. I don't even feel like it's yours. And it's definitely, this is not new. This is something, it's an old pattern, old emotion, but it's like, you know how when you're carrying around a lot of dense energy, it becomes your problem, even if it's not your energy and even if it's not new. So March is a really important opportunity for healing for you. I don't feel like it's something specific that's going to happen, but I feel like you'll be ready. And what I like about March for you for this is we'll be through the eclipse portal, and we'll be on the other side of Mercury retrograde. So I actually think I wouldn't try to do a whole lot of healing work right now, to be honest, like for myself, because it's just the energy is a little wonky and it's going to get weirder before it gets clearer. Okay. Thank you for letting me go on for a minute. Thank you for that, Stacy. I've been so happy to have you here. Let me, I'm trying to show you the tray, but also see the feed. All right, Stacy, what do we got for you, girl? They're talking about timing with you. Nothing before it's time. What are they talking about? Oh, they're talking about something, you're impatient about something, but it hasn't been time. And if whatever this is, if it came to pass too quickly, it wouldn't go the way you want it to. Like, this is like a strong message, but let things be. Don't push the river, because it's actually going to work out in your favor. This is I don't know what they're talking about, but this is interesting. Okay. That's an interesting stone to pull. This is hessonite garnet. So I don't know if it's a job or money or something like that, but it's timing. Whatever this is, the more time you give it, the more likely things are to work in your favor. Okay. All right, Jen, let's give it a go here. Jen Rack. Jen. With you, they're talking about something you're releasing or is being released around you. Not there. Where am I going? Yeah, there. It's heart stuff. This is an emotion or something is being released, or you're being released from something. Like this could be something as energetic as like a karmic debt, and it could be something as physical, tactile as a relationship. They're not showing me what it is, but they're showing me the emotions around it. It's hard. And even though I almost feel like this is something this is interesting, as Chris prays, I do feel like it's something you want. Like, this isn't something that's happening against your will, but it's nonetheless, right? Energetically, when we're being released or we're releasing something, it's intense for the soul. So anyway, I hope that's helpful for you. Your heart's being held while you go through this transition or transformation. Okay, let's see. Jade stone. Let's get it, Jade. Let me put that chrysoprase back down. Jade. Remember these little alien dudes that we had? Do you remember that? This tray makes me laugh sometimes. All right, what do we got for you, Jade? I feel you pretty intensely over here. This is like Soul Star Crown domain. This is funny. It's a different piece of that pink nature light. I'm not feeling called to that for you. Jade. They're talking about lineage stuff and healing. Yeah, I got to get in here. I don't know what's in here. I never go into this back corner. There's so many stones tucked into the back edge here. Yeah. Do you know what this is? This is phosphosiderite. So this is your stone. This is mostly past life recall. Oh, you're so welcome, Jen. Yeah, again, I don't feel like you're like sad in tears. I feel like you're going through a lot energetically. So Jade, this is what they're talking about is ancestral healing and sorry, I'm trying not to, my dress rides up. They're talking about ancestral healing and looking at specifically around past lives. And there's energy in this lifetime tied to not a super distant past life. They're talking about like a lifetime ago or maybe 2 lifetimes ago. But it's connected to, let me finish the whole thought. It's connected to a grandparent in this lifetime was in that lifetime with you at the same time. So it's a grandparent that you had some kind of kindred relationship. What are they showing me? Remember how supported you are. And remember that there's magic in your lineage. And you've been practicing magic for a long time. When you don't feel strong, this is the ancestor to lean on. This is what they're saying. Feels like a woman. And you were in 2 lifetimes with her. This lifetime, even if you weren't close to her in this lifetime, I actually feel like you might have been closer to her in a previous lifetime. Do you see the pendulums just like ding, 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 ding? Yeah, this is a pretty powerful spirit around you. That was fun to go into that energy for a minute. Your grandmother? Like super magic. That's kind of cool that you have that. Liz said, oh, I'm wearing phosphosiderite earrings tonight. What's funny is I'm sitting here looking at the drum. Is this like not the stone of the evening? And then how it looks with that the pink natrolite. It's like a right. And then the Indonesian blue jade under the fluorescent light looks like these shades of blue. Don't you think? I mean, you know, I read into everything, but I just think it's kind of the energy of the night. Okay. What do I do with my pendulum? Let me see where I'm going now. Okay. Okay, Gloria. Hi, Gloria. Let's see where we're going for Gloria. It's interesting. They're talking about spiritual growth. It's like, go with me, Gloria, on this. Just going to share with you what I'm sensing and hearing. It was almost like you were on pause for a little bit, and now you're not. And there's momentum. But because you were on pause for a minute, I don't know what that means, but energetically, maybe things slow down, or maybe you weren't feeling as connected to your something. There was some kind of slowdown of intuition or energy, but now it's flowing again. But give yourself a chance to like ease into this so that you don't feel overwhelmed. That's what they're saying. Like it's like easy does it energy. It's interesting. My pendulum, the place it's strongest is over this. Well, there's 3 stones, so I'll show you. And they're all kind of they look oddly alike, even though they're so different. Jamordorite, which is the stone of patience. And then this is a trallite heart, which is intuition and relaxation, right? It's lithium with all of your lazulite and lazurite and all the intuition minerals. And then this is sugilite. So it's like healing through relaxing into your intuition, but not rushing the pace, right? Like letting the transformation be subtle because you're easing back into it. Is how I read those stones for you. Okay. Yeah, that was kind of a juicy combination there. Like, I mean, when I was looking down, like, I don't feel like I need to choose between them. I think they're kind of telling a coherent story together. Okay. Where am I going now? Shayna, I would love a reading. I'd like to know whether I should undergo a certain medical treatment. I've been considering, all permissions given. All right. Well, I mean, let me start with just the pendulum. You heard her question, Spirit. Should she pursue this? Yes. I just get a clear yes. Let me look at the stones though and see what the stone wisdom is. Like I sense you really strongly right here, which is, sorry, I didn't put my screen down. Okay, I sense you really strongly right here over the root chakra stones and the sacral. And then through like here, solar plexus heart, it's like, I'm not sensing it, but then I can feel your energy on the other side of the tray too. So let me just see which is stronger. It's really strong right here. Can I see what I'm feeling? Oh, well, this is a good sign though. Tibetan quartz. Tibetan quartz, remember we talked about this? I kind of wanted to show you the vibration of it. Like watch how wide the energy field is on Tibetan quartz. So when I tell you, like for me, it's the most, well, I'm probably confusing it with the other stones. Let me lift it above the field so you can see. For me, for healing, there's no other kind of quartz I would work with above Tibetan quartz. So I take this as, but by the way, it's also a scepter formation, which is about self-leadership. So for me, this is about sovereignty to make this choice for yourself and knowing that it's a choice you're making for your healing. Does that make sense? But it's a strong yes. Like if I was asking that question and I wanted a clear answer from a stone, that's the stone I would want to see. Like, yes, have the procedure. So my 2 cents from the spirit world. And the guides are saying, it's really funny. The guides are like, she already knows anyway. I think you just wanted validation, which is totally fine. I like validation too. All right, Jenny Edwards. Let's see what we got for you, Jenny. My vision right away dropped down to this. So it's not a stone, just a little bebop, but it's a reminder that you are a healer. Spirits are like, she knows it, but she forgets sometimes. It's okay. And sometimes we don't want to, even those of us who are powerful healers are like, enough. I don't want to have to heal all the time. Which I get that too. It's healer fatigue. Like, can it just unfold? Jenny. Yeah, it's pulling me over here. It's funny, they're giving me a phrase, Jenny, the path to your heart. What about the path to her heart? Oh, Jesus, do you see this? I can hear do you see it? I can't make this shit up. Like, I can hear the hinge on it. It's going to snap. What's going on, Jenny? Okay. Jeez Louise. Whoa, it just gets stronger. Do you see that? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna show you what I'm seeing. These were the two that it was going over the strongest. Which this is pink calcite. So this is about feeling supported in love. Let me separate you guys. I can feel the vibration over that, but oh yeah, okay. It's this one. Do you see it? It's the Tiffany stone. Because the calcite, like, yes, it's there, but it's slower. Okay, so Tiffany stone is opalized fluorite. It's about something in your path changing, right? Fluorite is the Dharma stone, and opal is the stone of change and transformation. Which is pretty cool. Basically what it is fluorite that has a ton of water in it. Is what Tiffany stone is. And so it causes that opacity, and it's interesting because fluorite is already fragile, and then you take Tiffany stone is highly fragile because it's basically like opal and fluorite crossed. Isn't it pretty? Okay. All right, Luna Blue has been going through major empath fatigue. What do we got? What's our stone spirit for my girl with empath fatigue? All of them? No, spirit, let's be more specific. Empath fatigue. Okay, well, you saw what I saw there. So let me just go over here and see. Like, my hand is really warm, so I think you're over here. Yeah, you're definitely over here. All right. Well, let's all learn something today, Spirit. What the fuck do we need for empath fatigue? Other than like, a bed and permission to stay in it for a month. What do we need? Okay, what I'm looking for. Hot. Has the secret been with us all along? That's Ruby. Maybe we all just need Ruby. It makes sense, actually, when you think about it, right? That this would be the best stone for empath fatigue. Look at that shit right there. How do you know you got a ruby? Ladies and gentlemen, it's a ruby. Yeah, it's rad. Yeah. I was like, do I have any other rubies in here? I don't think so. But look what else I pulled out. This is kind of cool. Just because I think a lot of us are in this place right now of empath fatigue. So I pulled this for you, and then I pulled that. I think it's true, actually. Like, again, tonight has been about, what was the whole ritual about, right? Heart softening, floating, letting yourself relax into things, not fighting things, right? Not pushing the river. But I do think we have to allow ourselves to feel it. Yeah, I kind of love that. Thank you for, sometimes when you request a reading, you don't realize how much it helps, like the rest of us, to get clear, right? Okay, Marla. Marla said, I would love a reading, please. All permissions granted. Marla. Marla. Feel you really strongly here. They're talking about your inner child. Like little Marla. Yeah. She's had a go of it, yeah. Marla. They're saying, tell her it's okay now. So there's two stones. I'll show them both to you. That's where it's the strongest, is right here. So it could be all three of them. I'll tell you a story again. Let me just play with the three of them, and you see if this resonates with you. Okay. So this is a story of chalcopyrite, tryphane, so golden spodumene, and golden healer quartz. So lots of iron in this story, obviously, but I think so chalcopyrite is always around your confidence. Tryphane is around tenderness and passion, compassion. And then, and often what it represents is healing with or through a partner. And then golden healer quartz is your solar plexus and your seat of power and will. So I think this is a story about rebuilding your confidence, potentially in a relationship that's going to strengthen your sense of self. And at the same time, strengthen and help your inner child to heal. It's always fun to like hold the pendulum over the stones and then go back to the tray, because it tells me I've got the right ones. Because when I go back to the tray, it says no. Which is interesting. Okay, let me see where I'm going now. Where am I going, Spirit? Cynthia Burke. She's having cataract surgery on Thursday. They don't put you to sleep? I'm going to come to that surgery and put you to sleep myself. Cynthia. Okay. Seriously, I'm that friend that would show up and be like, I'll knock you out in the parking lot. I got tricks. Cynthia, you're going to be fine. Spirit's like, tell her she's going to be okay. Cynthia, you're going to be fine. That's actually the message. This is going to be a good process for you. They're saying it's coming, like you've needed the surgery for a while. Yeah, and if you notice, it's all like a third eye. So the eyes are always, the eyes, the human eyes and the seeing eye are always third eye issues. So it doesn't surprise me that it's like red light or green lighting all over the third eye section. They're just saying, trust the process and let go. Although, look, okay, so these are the two stones that I'm feeling the strongest vibration around, and it's azurite and lepidolite. Isn't that funny? Like trust your inner knowing and let it go. The more relaxed you are going into this process, the faster your healing will be. That's what they're saying. Brissette said it. They don't put you to sleep, but it's fantastic. Are you talking about the surgery itself? You're going to do fine. You're going to do great. Yeah. Okay. Collective pull. Yeah. See, what is our wisdom stone? Our collective wisdom stone to see us all through the eclipse cycle. I'm going to let myself linger here for a minute because when I'm reading for all of us, it's like there's so many, right? But I want to get as accurate a read as I can. What is the collective stone? Collective. Isn't that funny how it's like, well, this isn't us. The pendulum's like, nope. Okay, collective stone. This edge here is where I felt it the strongest. Again, what I love about this pendulum is it actually makes a sound when it's really strong from the chain hitting the little tab. It's like a clicking sound. It's so cool. It's like, look how powerful spirit is. Okay. What we need is a collective. I will say this is definitely what I need. I don't know if maybe you already have your shit together. This is a brecciated red jasper. It's strength, but it's also get your shit together. I haven't talked about brecciated jasper in a minute. Breccia, the Latin word for breccia is breaks, like fault lines, right? And because it's compressed. So basically this is, when you're looking at a brecciated stone, you're literally looking at an earthquake in hardened form and land compression, which is interesting because for this to be the stone for Gem Journey after our whole year of exploring like how the earth had to move and shift and the plates and the mantle and the core and the crust and the trenches and the, you know what I mean? Like this is literally all of that in one little pocket. So I do love that for us. It's time to get your shit together. And the other thing about red jasper is red jasper reminds you are so much stronger than you know. Like we all are guilty of underestimating our own strength under pressure, but we are all also so much stronger than we know and appreciate. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very fitting. Sorry, I almost spit on you. Oh, this tray. Well, that's cool that I had an extra piece of. Where's my? I love this rug because it protects my butt from sitting on the floor so much, but I swear to God, stuff hides in it. I was going to say, if I could find my other piece of nature light, because I thought I had two, but I can't find it. So if I can find it, I will gift my other piece. I'm going to put my camera back. Okay. So pull myself back up here to say thank you again for such an incredibly fun learning experience and for the inspiration to create it. I have loved every single minute of this class. I had never taught anything like it. It was a daunting challenge. There's still so much more I could have told you, you know what I mean? Like the history of our planet, even though I gave you 24 hours of it this year, we didn't, you know what I mean? It's like scratching the surface. So I just want to say thank you again. Big thanks to Circe. She's a force. You know, I can't do everything on my own. And so she's so helpful and supportive, and has been in our community for such a long time. So thank you for your good stewardship and incredible support. Really appreciate you. So that's it for now. Like I said, stay tuned. We did a little graduation code for you, grad 33. If there's anything you want at sagegoddess.com, because it's an international class and some people will watch this tomorrow. We're leaving the code up until I think Thursday at midnight, and don't share it. An incredible gift for me would be if you would check your email or look in the Facebook group and leave a review of class or my teaching or whatever you'd like to say. It makes a big difference because I'm, you know, sometimes people have known who I am for a long time, but sometimes they're new. And I am starting what may be my last crystal class. I don't know. There's so many things I want to teach, but I really want to do one last go of crystal training. And I want to do a teacher facilitator course, which I've never done before. So stay tuned. I'm going to leave our Facebook group active. And when that course is ready, I will come and tell you about it there and also send an email. So if you're on our email list, you will not be left behind. I will be on air in Austin next week again. So would love it if you can join me. As soon as I have my specific show times, I'll post those. Thank you for tuning in and even just showing your support and being there. It really means a lot. It's nice to have you there. It makes me feel like I'm at home. And cheers. Yay. Have a great rest of your evening. Tomorrow we are belly dancing in Living University. My belly dance teacher, Samia, is coming. And so we're going to be dancing with you. And then Thursday is our live gem show with Robin. So 2 more times to see you this week before the week is done. Have a great rest of your evening. Yes, there will be another crystal class. I don't have any more information for you than that because we're still, I think we've decided what it's going to be called. But the most important part is there'll be a new level for people who are new, and then you guys, because you finished this class, or if you did GemWise or Crystal Masters, will be eligible for teacher training, which I have not done before. And so that's pretty cool. I haven't done it. I've wanted to do it. It's my background. So stay tuned. I'm not saying anything else. That's Rachel there telling me to look how good I did. I only leaked a little bit of it tonight. Love you guys. Have a good evening. We'll see you soon.